What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a deck centered around Golduck from Sun and Moon. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, and maybe subscribe. Really does help us out a lot and lets us do more for you guys. And as for the question of the day, as you can see, in this first iteration I am showing you, I am pairing up Golduck with a couple Eeveelutions, and in case you guys haven't noticed, I've been using Eeveelutions quite a bit. Actually, not sure if you guys have seen all the decks that I've thrown Eeveelutions into, but either way, you've probably seen other YouTubers do it as well. Eeveelutions have really come in huge with different Sun and Moon decks, and that is because, well, at least in my opinion, it's because all of a sudden you have these gigantic Stage 1 attackers like Umbreon, Lurantis, all those guys that are Stage 1, so they get the impact of Flare Effect, Electric Effect, and then I'm assuming that that Vaporeon's is Water Effect, but I might even be Aqua Effect, who knows. But either way, you have these Stage 1s that are able to take advantage of it, and you might be thinking, well, haven't we had Stage 1s that can take advantage of that all along? And yes, you're right. The big difference is these Stage 1s are so ridiculously bulky, 200 HP, like 210 HP, 220, all of that. I mean, you just have these Stage 1s that have ridiculously high amounts of HP and hit very, very hard, making Eeveelutions a bit more viable and also a lot more, and I guess they're more versatile in a lot of different, well, not necessarily versatile. What am I trying to say? They're able to be used in a bunch of different decks because those decks are relying on Stage 1s, and they are types that get helped out by the added fire type, the added lightning type, the added water type, all that. So my question of the day is, how do you think this will translate to the competitive scene? Do you think that the Eeveelution cards from Ancient Origins with all these added type effects will make a translation into the competitive scene, or do you think that it will all just be casual, like the Lurantis Eeveelutions deck, the Umbreon Eeveelutions deck? Do you think those guys will just kind of be like, well, that's a fun deck to use, but it's not necessarily competitive? I think that it will have... Okay, I don't want to say that it will have a meta-game changing effect because I do not believe that. I do believe that it will have an effect and it will be seen in some matchups. Particularly Jolteon because... Well, particularly Jolteon in the Umbreon Espeon deck, because if Yveltal is still the top tier deck that it was before Sun and Moon came out and is used in everything, Jolteon is a very easy card to tech into Umbreon GX, just as like, oh hey, now I can one-shot your Yveltals with my Shadow Bullet. So I think the best chance that it has is Jolteon in an Umbreon deck if Yveltal becomes the top tier deck that it is. The same thing goes for if like grass decks become the new meta and become super top tier. I think that Flareon will see a rise in like the Umbreon decks and stuff like that. So I really think it depends on what deck comes up as the best deck in the meta, and the Eeveelutions will kind of go accordingly. So I don't think it'll have a top tier effect, but I do think that it can have an impact. So let me know what you guys think the Eeveelutions, the type adding Eeveelutions, will impact in the meta and why. I would love to hear what you guys think. But anyway, on to the actual deck. Like I said, centered around Golduck, 90 HP, so very not bulky. However, 90 HP is actually significantly better than 100 HP, and you might be wondering, wait, why is that? 90 HP gets knocked out in one hit by Shadow Bullet and other different attacks. I mean, it just makes Golduck a little more vulnerable to being knocked out. And yes, you are correct in that regard. However, it gives you one more searching option to get Golduck out in Level Ball. You don't just have to rely on Dive Ball or Ultra Ball. And I'm actually going to show you two versions of this deck. The first one that I'm showing you is the Eeveelutions version, and the second version is an adapted budget version of Golduck. However, when I saw Golduck, I saw that Double Jet, 60 damage and discard up to 2 water energy from your hand. This attack does 60 damage for each card discarded in this way. 1 energy for a potential 120 damage is ridiculous. And I saw that and immediately knew that it had to be paired with Starmie with Space Beacon Once during your turn, you may discard a card from your hand. If so, put 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. Basically, this has incredible synergy with Golduck because you discard with Double Jet, get them right back with Starmie, rinse and repeat, and if you can consistently hit for 120 damage, once this deck gets set up, it's very hard to beat. And I was trying to think of what would be good pairings with Golduck because Golduck Starmie in itself wouldn't be able to, you know, keep up with other decks. And I immediately thought, you know what? Let's throw the Eeveelutions in here. We don't need Vaporeon, and if you throw Vaporeon in this deck, I will have to laugh at you. However, I do think that you deserve props for making Golduck a double water type instead of just a water type. But the other Eeveelutions fit wonderfully in this deck with running 2 Eevee just for the Eeveelutions, and then Flareon and Jolteon. Jolteon allows you to one-shot like things that are weak to it, like Mega Rayquaza EX, Yveltal EX. Meanwhile, Flareon lets you one-shot the grass decks that are all over. I mean, granted, doesn't let you one-shot Decidueye, but meh, Decidueye probably just has a good enough matchup to where it's going to run train on this deck anyway. But, I mean, still, throwing Flareon in there in case they have a slow setup, but also to help out one-shot Lurantis type decks. So, really, these guys have very nice synergy, and if you can get set up, it's a very powerful deck. However, I was already at 16 Pokemon, and I didn't want to run 20 because that would just be a little bit too clunky, so I couldn't run an Octillery line in this deck, so I decided to go with a couple Shaymin, and therefore this isn't a budget deck because of Shaymin, so sorry about that. I am about to show you a budget version. However, I might as well just go through all of the cards and then show you the difference in the budget version. So yeah, with all the numbers running 2 Eevee, just because we're running 2 Eeveelutions, might as well have 2 Eevee to be able to evolve any one of those whenever you want. Both Flareon and Jolteon for the added type effects. You have Shaymin for the draw support. 4-4 of Psyduck and Golduck, we need to max out on attackers. And then 2-2 of Staryu and Starmie, just because Starmie doesn't attack, sits on the bench, and is able to get the energy back into your hand so that Double Jet hits for the damage that you want each turn. As for the items, running 1 Eco Arm, and why Eco Arm? Because we are running Bursting Balloon. Bursting Balloon, if the Golduck gets hit, your opponent gets 6 damage counters on them. Combine that with Double Jet, you're now hitting for 180. That knocks out all non-Fighting Fury belted EXs that aren't Mega, obviously, and then the basic GXs. Well, except for Lapras, but whatever. Regardless, either way, Bursting Balloon allows Double Jet to hit for a magic number of 180, so that's the item we are pairing Golduck with. So Bursting Balloon does discard itself at the end of the turn. That's why Eco Arm's in there, to be able to potentially get 7 Bursting Balloons in a game. That damage is invaluable. We're running 2 Level Ball just to search out everything. I mean, really the only thing that cannot be sought out with Level Ball is Shaymin. However, Shaymin's important enough that you still want to have a heavy line of the thing that can get out Shaymin. So that's why we are running 4 Ultra Ball and then 2 Level Ball. Also, the drawback of Ultra Ball is not nearly as bad in this deck as it is with other decks. Because you can just discard 2, not fire. You can discard 2 water energy and be able to get them back immediately with Space Beacon. So the drawbacks of Ultra Ball are not completely mitigated, but somewhat mitigated in this deck. That's why we are able to run 4 of these. Also 4 Trainers Mail to just help with consistency, and then 1 Super Rod for when your Golduck inevitably get knocked out, you can put him back into the deck. As for the supporters, running 3-2 of Sycamore and N, I would like to run 4-2. However, I just didn't have the room in this deck, so I decided to just go with 3-2, and I didn't run into any problems. 2 Lysandre, because Lysandre is amazing, and 1 Pokemon Ranger, so we don't just auto-lose to things like Glaceon and stuff like that. So probably can get rid of the Pokemon Ranger. Again, I'm paranoid. You guys know this by now. As for the tools, 4 Bursting Balloon, like I said, to hit those magic numbers. 2 Float Stone to be able to slap onto like one of your Eeveelutions or Starmie. Note to you guys, and also note to self when I play with this deck again, don't slap a Float Stone onto a Jolteon, you'll just look like an idiot. I did it when I was first playing with this deck because I was like, oh, I just need to give this guy free retreat because it's not attacking. Well, Jolteon already kind of has free retreat, so there's that. Don't make the same mistakes I did, guys. And as for the energy, we are running, well, that's not the energy I want to zoom in on, running 3 of the Splash Energy to be able to get the Golduck and Psyduck back in our hand when they get knocked out. However, these cannot be discarded with Double Jet, nor retrieved with Space Beacon, so we still want to run a heavy line of regular water energy to be able to abuse those. So yeah, this is the non-budget version of the deck. Let me go grab the budget version really quick. Here we go. As you can see, I replaced the Shaman with Octillery, and oh, by the way, I also forgot to talk about the stadium. Faded Town, although it has fallen out of favor quite a bit with the advent of the GXs and not being able to hit GXs and Mega Evolutions just not being as popular anymore. Still, Faded Town is just a nice counter stadium that your opponent can't take advantage of, and in the right matchup, you're able to use effectively, and also it's mainly just a counter to Parallel City, so you don't get screwed over by it. But also, worth noting, through a Silent Lab in this deck, be careful about how you play that with Manaphy. I tested out not running Silent Lab at all because I was like, okay, I'm running a Manaphy. I don't want to have Silent Lab shutting off Aqua Tube. However, with Silent Lab, it shuts down a lot of different decks and allows you the time to set up. So I couldn't bring myself to get rid of this completely. However, just be very, very careful of how you play Silent Lab with Manaphy. But as you can see, the Eeveelution, in the completely budget version of this deck, the Eeveelutions are gone. I replaced the Eeveelutions with the 2/2 line, Remoraid and Octillery. I replaced one of the Shaman with a Manaphy and another Shaman with a Silent Lab. So yeah, that is the deck. I'm going to be getting a couple matches, or at least I'm going to be trying to get at least one good match with each deck in this live. So yeah, I'm done rambling. Let's go ahead and see these decks in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Peekapoo 420. Wow, that is very mature. But either way, with a water and, or not water, what am I saying? With a grass and psychic deck, so might be at the disadvantage. We luckily do go first. If this is like a Serena deck, I would cry. But or it's a like it could be a Serena, could be trying to Vile Lock, and then the psychic could be unknown just to mill through your deck faster, draw more cards. And unfortunately, we do mulligan, so we will give my opponent an extra card. However, you know what? This hand could be worse. Well, actually, could be a lot better because I kind of would like the have a draw supporter. But let's go ahead and Trainers Mail. All right, I get an Ultra Ball, so that's good enough. I'm gonna Ultra Ball, get rid of the Eevee, get rid of an Energy and the Eevee to grab a Shaman in order to, get some cards and not just be stuck turn 1. But yeah, let's go ahead and play that onto the Eevee. The Eevee has 1 retreat cost. I can retreat with it next turn. I get a Level Ball, so we might as well grab a Psyduck, play that sucker down, and then I'm probably going to have to Ultra Ball again, get rid of the VS Seeker and a Golduck for another Shaman, just so I can draw some cards. I need to get something going. I would like to get a draw supporter. That would kind of be a very nice start. And I get an N. So, what I think I'm going to do, immediately Super Rod back in the Eve Golduck and Water Energy, and then N away my hand. Hopefully get something a little bit better. Get rid of that mulligan card from my opponent, and it's not bad. Could be a lot better. Could be a lot worse. Let's Trainers Mail, see if I can get something else. And I whiff on the Trainers Mail completely. So, yeah, playing that Bursting Balloon onto the Eevee and end the turn. So, not the greatest start, but again, not horrible just because, I get Eevee down. I have a Psyduck. I can evolve into a Golduck next turn and then start attacking. I have Eevee, Starmie, and Psyduck down, so that's a pretty good start. But in my hand, I have absolutely nothing, so it's not a good start in that sense. But either way, we're playing. Don't even know what my opponent's playing. Obviously we see the Ghastly, so it's a Gengar variant, but then we see the Spinda, so this is it's a Gengar Spinda deck. What the heck? So I have no idea. My opponent is going to go for the Sleep Poison. Does not get it, luckily, so I will be able to retreat this Eevee. And, oh, there we go. There's a VS Seeker. That is a beautiful top deck. Let's play that onto the Golduck. Go ahead and Eco Arm, get the Bursting Balloon back into my deck just because. Via Seeker for that N, get a fresh hand of 6 cards. Hopefully get a Starmie or some Water Energy. And you know what? This is just as good as a Starmie. I can go ahead and retreat into my Golduck. Get another Water Energy in the discard pile. Let's just Level Ball for that Starmie. Play that guy right down. And I'm drawing into all my Eevees. Like, I'm getting those things back as soon as I need them. But let's go ahead and Space Beacon. Get rid of that Eevee. Get a couple Water Energy back into... Or one Water Energy, anyway, back into my hand. Play the Faded Town. And then Double Jet for... Do I want to get rid of both? I think I'll just hold on to one. Just, because, I mean, I get the knockout anyway. And this way I hold on to a Water Energy. That way I can play a little more freely with things like Ultra Ball and stuff like that, because I can still get the 2 back with Space Beacon, and I have the luxury of discarding this 1 energy because I'll still be able to get it back. And my opponent does just play down a Spinda, evolve into a Haunter, and or attach the energy to the Spinda. Evolve into Haunter, and then attack himself. So I don't know. I honestly have no idea what exactly my opponent is running. I am probably just going to play Bursting Balloon. Never mind. We're just going to go ahead and win and get nothing from the get nothing from the ladder, because why would we go onto one of the spokes of the wheel that hasn't been done? I mean, even though the wheel's like 2/3 not redeemed, of course we go onto a redeemed part. But anyway, first match, decent but not the greatest, so I'm going to go ahead and try to find another one with the budget version of this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Sant20, and this time I am not using the Eeveelutions build. I am just using the straight budget build with the Manaphy and just straight Golduck. We do lose the coin flip, so we will go second. That is kind of tragic for this deck. You really want to go first, that way you can get your evolutions. And I do start off with some stuff. I start off with some decent stuff. Well, actually, I start off with a pretty good hand. I'll be able to get a Staryu down. I'll be able to get a Psyduck, Remoraid, put a Splash Energy on the Psyduck. My opponent starts with Yveltal. That means that I should be in a decent spot. Like, I should be able to avoid the KO this coming turn, unless my opponent gets, like, hits a bunch of Max Elixirs, or... Yeah, and then we see the Latios as well. I'm not sure. Oh, we see the Parallel City. That sucks. Actually, that's not too bad. If I can just get a... If I can just get a Manaphy and a Staryu, then again, I do want to have another Psyduck down as soon as I can. Then my opponent's just going to Escape Rope into... Oh, that's bad for me. And then Instruct for a couple cards. That's... this is kind of a bad start now. Because now my opponent even has the Sycamore, and the Parallel City's going to suck. Like, that's... Ideally, the setup is Manaphy, Remoraid... Golduck, Manaphy, Remoraid, Golduck, Manaphy, Octillery, Golduck, Starmie, and then you have another Psyduck on the bench. That way, when the Golducks get knocked out, you can just have back-to-back attackers. So I really do need to get my Faded Town in order to be able to counter this stadium. My opponent is just going off this turn. Jeez. Drawing so many cards. And I get a Golduck, so that's pretty nice. Let's see, let's just grab the Starmie. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting turn. I would have liked to have been able to confuse my opponent's Darkrai. That way I can avoid a knockout this turn. But, ooh. So this is precarious. What I am going to do is go ahead and just Ion Pool to discard my opponent's Parallel City. And then hopefully I'm able to retreat into my Golduck next turn. I mean, all my opponent needs is just a regular energy, and then he'll be able to knock out the Remoraid, and that'll suck, but at least I'll be able to get the Bursting Balloon damage off on him, and that's really incredibly important, because if I can, with the Bursting Balloon damage, as long as my opponent doesn't get a Fighting Fury Belt, I'll be able to knock it out with Golduck next turn, which would be absolutely amazing. Especially because I will be able to get a Starmie turn 2. My opponent gets an Yveltal down as well, so this is annoying. So I'm just gonna sit here as my opponent goes through his entire deck, and okay, I honestly, like, I get what my opponent is going for, but it just seems like Seems like a lot of the cards that my opponent has are just cards that you don't use in this type of deck. Because, I mean, the Latios, that's only good turn... Wait, does he even run Double Dragons? We do see the Reverse Valley come down. That'll be potentially helpful for knocking out a Golduck. And then my opponent is just going to Sycamore, so I might be able to deck him out. But, okay, it looks like my opponent is just running a bunch of really random cards. If he doesn't get a Darkness, I might... Well, I'll actually survive the turn, which will be pretty awesome. And then I'll want to Sycamore... Okay, never mind. I knew that was too good to be true. And I want to Sycamore... Well, I will obviously Sycamore, but I will want to get just 2 energy... Or, yeah, 3 energy off of my Sycamore. If I can just get 3 energy next turn, I will be able to knock out this Darkrai and be in an excellent position. So I'm really hoping... Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to discard another Golduck as well. So that's probably the worst top deck I could have asked for. And, I mean, as long as I can get a Super Rod, that'll be fine. I mean... Okay. Wow, I get 0 energy. That is ridiculous. Oh my gosh, that sucks. Wow, okay. So what I'm going to do is, because apparently I don't run any energy in this deck, I'm just going to go ahead and Dive Ball, just get another Psyduck, because this Golduck's going to go down. And yeah, that completely blows right there. That I wasn't able to get a single energy. I mean, going through half my deck, and I have drawn into, well, 1 energy first turn, well, 3 energy first turn, but I had to end those back in the deck. So I know that there's plenty of energy in the deck. I just am apparently incapable of getting them when I need to. And the thing is, even if I had drawn the energy earlier and Sycamored them away, I could get them back with Starmie. But the fact that I've gone through half my deck and have only been able to go through a single energy is kind of ridiculous. So it's very, very unfortunate. It gives my opponent another turn to get another Darkrai set up. And yeah, 2 Golduck are in the discard pile. Another Golduck is about to be there. And my opponent is just going to switch into his other Darkrai. So this is... Honestly, this is just going from bad to worse. I would be in this game if my draws weren't so ridiculously bad. But, I mean, hey, it happens. It really does happen. And so my opponent's just getting a complete board setup, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. So... Blah. I mean, maybe we can have a comeback. If I can just get a stream of Golducks, then I'll be fine. But otherwise, it's just going from bad to worse right now. Because, I mean, I'll be able to get a Splash Energy onto the Psyduck. And then, do I want to Sycamore or end? I have to Sycamore. I wish I could end my opponent, but I just need... And I don't draw an energy again. Are you serious right now? Wow, that is atrocious. I'll be able to get 2 energy, but, I mean, like, I have 24 cards left in my deck, and I've been able to go through 2 energy. I mean, at least Abyssal Hand for 2. Okay, I get 1. So, that's ridiculous. That is utterly ridiculous, because if I had gotten another energy this turn, I would have been able to get him to a point where he would get knocked out by the Bursting Balloon. But unfortunately, I'm going to have another Golduck down before I'm even able to take a knockout on my opponent. So, oh, that sucks so badly. I'm going to have 4 Golduck in the discard pile. Oh, 3 Golduck. 3 Golduck in the discard pile. My opponent's going to limit me with another Parallel City. So, yeah. That, blah. So, once again, I am getting lucked horribly. And the thing is, like I said, I'd be in this match if my draws weren't so bad. I mean, you go through 40 cards of your deck and you think at least you'll be able to get like 1 other energy, but clearly not. I will be able to get 1 Golduck down, and I need a Super Rod at this point because, well, okay, another 2 Splash Energy. I need a Super Rod because I need to recycle my Golducks in order to be able to, you know, actually use them. And I have to Sycamore again just because I have so many resources that I just need. I wish I would be able to put my opponent down to a lower hand, but unfortunately I cannot. Let's Level Ball, nothing, and my Super Rod's still in the deck. So Can't get that either. I am honestly just getting a bunch of things that I really just don't need at this point. Like, I'm not drawing what I need when I need, and yeah. So, at this point, I have drawn more supporters than I have energy. Okay, guys, I'm sorry that I'm complaining. It's just, it's very frustrating when I'm trying to run a budget deck, and I get, well, not only do I get lucked from my opponent's side, my opponent being able to set up an amazing board, but it's also really frustrating from my side when I have a chance to be in a match, but then I just get the worst draws possible, and I just can never get anything when I need it, even though I have a bunch of outs to it. So I'm sorry. I apologize that I'm complaining, but it's just very, very frustrating for me right now to be able to try to deal with this. Because, I mean, there's absolutely nothing I can do. I've played as well as I can, and yeah, so, I mean, this happens in Pokemon. It really does. Like, you just draw a bunch of crap, but when I'm playing, especially when I'm playing a budget deck, it's even harder, because a budget deck needs a good start to begin with. Like, a budget deck really cannot afford to be set back as far as I am. I mean, I will be able to take another knockout this turn, so that's nice. But I do need that Super Rod at this point. I need the Super Rod. I need to be able to get another Psyduck. Could Trainers Mail. I think I'm just gonna grab. I'm gonna grab the Dive Ball just cause, and then I'm Sycamore, or I'm ending because I have to. I need my Super Rod at this point. I really do. Like, if I can't get my Super Rod, then I'm just in a spot that's horrible and is just gonna get worse. So Trainers Mail, still don't get a Super Rod. So I Trainers Mail and still can't get a Super Rod. That is awful. Manaphy's there, the Super Rod's right there. So if I can somehow draw into my Super Rod, that'd be great. I'd rather it not, like, all the resources that I need just not be in the very end of my deck. So please, Super Rod and a way to get... Oh my god, that sucks. Wow, you've got to be kidding me right now. So my Super Rod goes into the last 8 cards of my deck. Blah. So this is going from bad to worse. I mean, honestly, there's not much I can do. I'm gonna be able to double jet, get some, like, take the knockout on the Darkrai, maybe get something going, but just the fact that I have not been able to draw anything or get any type of consistency in this match has put me so far behind that, I mean, I'm down to 2 prizes. That's 1 EX knockout, and there's the Psyduck. About time. I mean, it's a turn too late because now my opponent can even go into his baby Yveltal and take a knockout on my Golduck and be down to 1 prize. So there's really nothing at all that I can do. And he even gets heads. Even gets heads. Jeez, that's unreal. That's just super annoying. So, I think we're gonna... That's salt in the wound right there. Just the fact that I draw into my Super Rod now, like, that's kind of just stupid. What I could have done last turn is attach an energy to my Starmie to potentially paralyze the Yveltal, but honestly, there's nothing else I can do. Like, I will lose this match. Thank you, Luck, for once again showing me how amazing you are. Yeah, leave a comment in the comment section below. Do you guys agree with how unlucky I feel I got? Because I honestly feel like I could have won this game if I just didn't have such atrocious draws this whole time. But, I mean, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. What I can potentially do is play a Manaphy, try to get free retreat, maybe go for Confusion. I could... Manaphy's the only thing that won't get one-shot this turn, but the thing is, like, I need 3 attachments to have any chance. Because I need an attachment to the Manaphy to have free retreat, I need an attachment to the Starmie to have free retreat, but honestly, like, I'm just gonna... I have to Lysandre in something, so, I mean, I'm just gonna Maybe the Eeveelutions won't be able to... Oh, wait, he can just retreat with his Eeveelutions and knock me out with Latios. So, yeah, nothing I can do. Now I draw into something. So, yeah, all my energy, my Super Rod decided to be at the very end of the deck. So I do lose this match. That just sucks that I couldn't have gotten anything going at all. And, yeah, I mean, I eventually did, but it was just so inconsistent. Like, I had to discard so many Golducks. I couldn't keep them going when I needed to, and I couldn't... Well, I mean, I go through half my deck, and I get one energy that I can use. So, very unfortunate game right there. I apologize about my complaining right there. I know that that's not what you guys want to see, but it's just... just please, before you leave a dislike, and before you start bad-mouthing me in the comments, please try to understand from my perspective. First of all, budget decks are very difficult to record with, and it's even worse when you have a match that you can potentially do well in, and then your draws just kill you. So I apologize for that, but you know what? I'm not ending on a loss. Let's try to find one more with this deck. In an attempt to curb my saltiness, I found another one against random crits with a deck that we are probably just going to get blown back by, and that looks to be a Decidueye Tauros deck. I did switch over to the Eeveelutions version of Golduck again because I only got one mediocre game in the beginning. And in addition to wanting to get another game with this, my saltiness was just a little bit too high with my budget version of this deck. So I was like, you know what? I need Shaman. I need Shaman to give me something that I can work with. And I do start with a good hand. That's a very solid hand. And I look to even be getting a card off of my opponent's mulligan. Oh my god, we see the Team Flare Grunt and the Forest of Giant Plants. So we are in for a very, very rough time, more than likely. The unfortunate thing is Staryu gets knocked out by 2 Feather Arrows, a fact that I found out when I first tried to test with this deck. And Decidueye Tauros just kind of wiped the board with me turn 1 with getting... Oh, wait. Oh, this is even worse. This is even worse. This isn't a Decidueye Tauros deck. Abort, abort. This is a Serena Tauros deck. Oh, boy. We're just going to get killed. So, on the bright side, get a solid start. And I think... Let's Ultra Ball for a Shaman. Because, I mean, I need to play my hand out. I really do. Just so I can, like, try to get what I need. And when my opponent inevitably gets the Serenas up, I can kind of thin my deck out of things that I... Well, thin my deck so I have a better chance of top decking something good. And, alright, let's... Trainers Mail, see what we can get. Alright, so if my opponent doesn't just get an absurd amount of Serena, then I will be in an excellent, excellent position this next turn because I can evolve into Golduck, I can level ball for Starmie and Flareon, and like I can actually go off next turn if I'm able to survive this turn because Serena has the ability to just disrupt your opponent to the point of them not being able to play. So I'm really hoping my opponent gets kind of a slow start with his Serena. And we see the turn 1 Lily. At least my opponent had to use his supporter that far in advance. I mean, at least, yeah. So, oh, we can do something. We can do something, guys. Ha, yes. Okay, so now that I have a very excellent start, I am going to go ahead, level ball for the Flareon, level ball for the Starmie, well, first off, involve the Golduck. And, yes, finally, I get to do something. Let's grab the Starmie, get that thing set up, play the Faded Town. I mean, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'm just very excited because this is, like, the perfect start with this deck. And you know what? I'm even just going to Sycamore away this water energy because I can get it right back with Space Beacon. And I might as well have another water energy in the discard pile so I can Space Beacon for maximum efficiency. And would you look at that? We are just, whew, that is beautiful. Gonna Eco Arm, put back in the Bursting Balloon. That way I can deter the Tauros from attacking next turn. Let's play the energy onto the Psyduck. Trainers Mail, hopefully draw into a Bursting Balloon, which we do, meaning my opponent will have to Fighting Fury Belt up the Tauros if he wants to avoid the knockout from my attack next turn. And then I'm not going to grab the Trainers Mail in case my opponent gets a Serena next turn, just because I want to have that VS Seeker as a potential top deck so I can get out of the bad situation and I get a couple water energy back. And I'm just going to double jet for the, get rid of the 2 water energy, hit the Tauros for 120, and finally we get a very good setup. This has curbed my saltiness completely. Ah, yes! We complete the salt. We complete the desaltification. You know what? We even complete the daily challenge. That's it. I'm calling it. I know that was another short match, but I'm never going to be able to top that start with that deck, and especially the fact that we were able to destroy a Serena deck. I'm calling it. That was awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for putting up with my salt and making it to the end of this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.